Am I a teacher? Yes. But in my homeschool, I don't teach the way you might think I do. There are certain qualities that a teacher is and that a teacher is not. So as a homeschooling mom, it's really important to know what those are so that you can tap into an approach that actually is going to deepen your relationship with your child through the way that you teach them. There was a question asked last week about how do you transition from being your child's teacher to instead being their coach once they get into those later high schooling years? Well, I actually would say that's a trick question because you never want to be making that transition from teacher to coach. Whoa, why do I say that? Well, it's because you always want to be your child's coach. It comes down to really defining what a teacher is and what a teacher is not. In the homeschooling world, we have the wrong idea around what a teacher really is because a teacher is a coach. A teacher is someone who supports and encourages and cheers on the students so that they can take responsibility for their own progress, their own learning, their own success, and they can have that responsibility and flourish under the guidance of that coach. We don't need to transition from a place of control in those early years. We can establish healthy patterns of relationship right from those early years in how we teach our children to view what learning really means. This is going to impact your relationship with your child through that mother and child relationship and your teacher-student relationship with them. This is very important because if you're seeing rub and pushback and resistance to learning in your homeschool, it may mean that you need to reevaluate what you think a teacher does. If you have a middle schooler or a high schooler, this is going to be so helpful for you to give them back the responsibility for learning so that they can take ownership of themselves. And if you have an elementary age child, you can prevent these pitfalls from ever happening by making these pivots early on. Without further ado, here are the 3 things that a teacher is not. Number 1, a teacher is not a boss. You are not here to tell your child what to do, what to think, how to learn, how to play, how to do this properly. You are not here to set things up for them so that it feels good for you. So if you are one of the many moms who doesn't really enjoy a gigantic, chaotic mess, this is going to be harder than the mom who is a little bit more free-spirited about that kind of thing. If you grew up with your mom pre-measuring out all of the ingredients for you to just put into the bowl, then you know this is hard to overcome those inner ways that we've always thought about things. This is how we were trained to think about things. And it's not helpful to pass on that way of thinking for our children because they are not the same person as we are. And we need to give them that space to flourish into whoever they are going to become in their unknown future. Yes, we have a specific capacity of what we know that we can handle in any given moment. And yes, we need to honor that so we can show up in the best way for our children, and yet we cannot allow that to hinder our children from flourishing into who they are to become. Do not put up guardrails around your child that you've placed around yourself. Because something is reasonable for you does not mean that it's going to be reasonable for them from their personal perspective. So be open to that, be okay with that. Allow them to flourish into who they are going to become. Within reason of safety, of course. The second thing that a teacher is not is a potter. You are not a ceramic artist here shaping your child to become a mini version of you. So many times as moms, we are teaching our children what is good and what is right. And quite frankly, what is right versus wrong or good versus bad, these are judgments based on our long-standing beliefs and perspectives. And so sometimes with new information, what was right in our eyes before may change. And maybe that grayscale is a lot wider than we gave credit for before. It is not your role to shape your child to think about things the same way you do. What might be right for you might not be right for them. Instead of telling them and shaping them to follow along what you deem is right and wrong, give them the tools that they need to make decisions for themselves so that when they come up into these moments in the future that they know how to think critically about it, how to consider what they believe, and how to apply that to unique situations. The third thing that a teacher is not is a doormat. You are here for a reason. And I know that those last 2 points were saying you need to back off a little bit and let your child flourish into who they are a little bit more on their own, taking responsibility for themselves. But that does not mean that we throw our hands up in the air and let the chips fall wherever they may. You have something really valuable to offer here because any one person can only stretch themselves as far as they believe that they are capable of. But you know, when you look at your child, that they are capable of more than they think that they can do on their own. So your job here is to gently stretch them with encouragement and guidance and support so that they can grow to higher levels of thinking. They can grow to deeper depths of understanding. Your role is so important here. So if you're not a boss, not a potter, not a doormat, what is your role as a homeschooling mom teaching your child? Well, I've alluded to this already. You are their guide. You are there to support them. So think about your favorite movie for a moment here. You've just been introduced to this amazing character and you see that they are the hero of their own story. But then they come up to a problem, and in this case, your child is having some challenges with their learning. Every great movie then introduces a guide, somebody to come in and to show that character how to end with a successful outcome at the end of their story. Your child is the main character of their life story, and you are not the hero of their story, they are. You are their guide. You're the one providing wisdom. You're the one providing encouragement. You're the one sharing what the plan of action could be. It's their decision whether they take that advice or not. It's their responsibility to go ahead with the actual action-oriented steps, and it's their ownership of the consequences when they make poor decisions. Your child needs to discover their own path on their own story, and they need your guidance tremendously. You are there for your child so that they can tackle this really difficult task of learning new things. Here's the thing. You are also learning something new. Here you are learning how to be a homeschooling mom, supporting your child in this new way with this new dynamic, this new relationship. Who is your guide? You are the star of your life, and who is there speaking into your life with wisdom, encouragement, a plan of action for ways that you can do this more easily or better? So many homeschool moms don't have a guide and are left scrambling to try to figure things out on their own. And that's why I created this YouTube channel and why I created Homeschool Teaching Simplified, so that you can find someone that has taught all of the age groups, that does know what it's like to draw out greater learning from a child and understands the personal growth that it takes to come up against those challenges when you hit your max capacity and you are triggered because they know how to push your buttons. Take a moment and check out some of the other videos that I have for you below, and you can even head over to my website and check out the free workshop that I created for you. Do you connect with what I'm sharing here? I would love to know what it is that you need. How can I support you better? You can leave a comment below or email me, Natalie@homeschoolteachingsimplified.com. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.